Hi everybody, we are going to walk you through step by step the November Club Q. And before we do that, I want to give you a preview of December also. So here we have November. We got 2 pages, the next 2 pages of November. If you are not a Club Q member and you just happened upon this video, this is our November Club Q, which is our monthly kit club. You can read all about it if you go to shopquickquotes.com and click on Club Q. But every month you get brand new kits shipped to your door. You always get 2 double-page layouts plus a paper pack for $32. Free shipping, always free shipping. Here is a preview of December's kits. So there's 2 and then the second one. So if you're interested, you can sign up at shopquickquotes.com at Club Q. You get lots of benefits for being a Club Q member. If you're already a member, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you are thinking about signing up, just know that in your first shipment, you also get free kits. So you would get the month that you signed up for. Plus you get an entire starter kit. So you get an extra 4 pages plus an extra paper pack in your first one, $32, free shipping, and lots of extras for you too for being a member. Check it out, shopquickquotes.com, and we will get started with the instructional video for November. Okay, we are going to get started on the second November Club Q layout. This one is called Pumpkins and Sunflowers, and I just love these colors for fall. The green isn't typically something, the aqua color is something that we would put into fall kits, but it just looks beautiful, I think, in this fall layout. So to get started, we are going to work on kind of both pages at one time. I want to show you a couple of things about the die cuts. So you have these brown backer squares here. 3 of those come out of your triple frame die cut. And then there is one that is out of the big 12 by 12 brown die cut. There's one extra there. So you should end up with 4 3 by 3 brown pieces in your frame. And then one other thing I want to say about the die cuts before you start punching everything out, just so you know, this piece that comes out of the center here, we are still going to use this frame. So when you punch that out, make sure that you save this frame here, because that is what is going to go behind here. It's that piece there. So save that, and if you are punching things out, what I did is I just kept all of the pumpkins intact so I can just punch those out as I go. But if you are punching things out, just make sure that this, with the 2 pumpkins in it here, this piece right here, we are still going to use. So don't throw that away. And I would actually suggest leaving your pumpkins intact in your die cut until we start using them on our page. If you've already punched them out, that's fine. It's just easier to kind of match them up this way and get them as you go, but it's no big deal if you've already punched them out. And if you haven't, that's what's great about video, is that you can push pause anytime you need to, chalk things up, cut things, and then just push play again when you're ready. So, like all of our Quick Quotes kits, we have ink suggestions on the front. So for Powder Puff chalking inks, we suggest Mocha Mama, Fall Leaves, and Seafoam. But I actually grabbed a few different colors. I am going to use Emerald Forest, which is kind of a darker green. I have Oak Tree, and I also have Sunset. So you choose the colors that you feel look the best with your pictures or on your page. On the back here, we are going to start with a cutting diagram. There's not a lot of cutting, but I'm going to get my trimmer out now and do the cutting. There's one 12 by 12 kind of aqua mint green piece that we are going to do some cutting. So I'm going to move the samples out of the way here and get my 2 background pieces ready. So to start, go ahead and get your background pages, the 2 striped papers. And I'm just going to sit my trimmer right on top of there. And we are going to start with the cutting diagram for this aqua piece of paper, or mint green, I guess it is. You, in your kit, if there's ever cutting diagrams, there is a separate sheet a lot of times in there. So find this sheet, and this tells you exactly what we are going to cut. We're going to start with this little skinny strip off the side, and we're just going to cut 1/4 of an inch off the side to begin with. So I'll set this here. And actually, it's easiest if I put it in this way and just put it up to 1/4 of an inch, and this just makes one little skinny strip. So you can see just 1/4 of an inch in here. And then you just have a tiny strip, set that aside. That actually goes page 1. It's going to be this little strip here after we layer all these colors together. So go ahead and set that aside. We will finish the cutting diagram. So I'm going to turn it back around because I didn't cut my tab off. You can cut that off if you want to, but I'm going to turn it around. And then we are going to cut the 4 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 squares. So put this in at 2 3/4. So just shy of 3 inches. We're at 2 3/4. Cut the strip all the way down, and then we are going to turn it and cut it again at 2 3/4 so that you have little squares. And we do that 2 3/4 until we have 4 squares. You'll have a little piece left over at the end here. Some people save those little scraps. That can actually be thrown away if you want to. We have 4 pieces. And next we are going to do the 4.5 inch by 11 1/4. So go ahead and slide your paper back in to 4.5 inches and trim all the way down. Whoop, turn it. And we're going to move it down here to, we just want 11 1/4. So bring this down to 11 1/4 and trim that end piece off. And the last piece we are going to cut is a 4 by 6. So you'll have some left over there, another 4 by 6 space there. But go here, slide this back in, 4 inches. This is scraps thrown away, by 6. And then you will have an extra 4 by 6 left over. Go ahead and feel free to use that on another layout or add to this one. Okay, and that's all the cutting that we have. Everything else we have put into a die cut for you, so it makes it very easy to put together. The other thing that is usually at the very beginning of our kits is if there's any ribbon cutting, that is also on here. So it says cut jute into 4 4-inch pieces. So measure that out, 4 inches. 4 inches. I'm doing abouts right now, but you can measure these at 4 because we're just going to tie little knots in them and use them at the top here like these. So anything close to 4. And then set those aside, and we are going to get started on decorating up these pages. So I'm going to start with the 4 3x3 pieces of brown that I was showing you from the beginning. And like I said, chalk these up as you go, however you would like. these are going to, and what I'm going to do is actually just barely put things in place for right now. You don't have to glue them down. I like to get them on the page where I want them to go, and then I go back and glue everything down. Okay, and the 3 mint green pieces that you just cut out of your cutting diagram, these get adhered right to the top of there. So chalk those up. I'm going to do mine with a little bit brighter green, I think. So I'm going to use the Emerald Forest. There's also Aqua would be really pretty with this, Mermaid. There's lots of different greens that we have. This one, it just kind of brightens it up a little bit, but we used, on our sample, we used Seafoam, so that one is a little bit more dull. Kind of depends on the look that you want. So I'll actually do one in Oak Tree also, just so you can see what that looks like on here. It's really kind of a pretty fall orangey brown color. A little bit of red in it, actually. You probably wouldn't do these all different colors, but you definitely can. It looks kind of nice. This is Sunset, so this one is much more of a kind of a rusty orange. So you chalk them up however you feel you like. I'm going to go back to Emerald Forest. I really like that color. But if you want a much more fall look, you might want to use something a little darker. Okay, so your die cut, these are the only 2 pumpkins that we're going to punch out right now. Unless you've already done it, that's totally fine. But we are going to use this outside, kind of the negative piece, for our photo backer. So go ahead and take that out of your die cut. You can punch the pumpkins out of the middle and set those aside. Those pumpkins, they're so kind of delicate, they get tangled up if you punch them all out and lay them together. So we're just going to do it as we go. Set those aside. So this is your first layer for your photo backer. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just laying these out right now. You don't want to glue anything down quite yet. Get things in place where you want them. And then your 4x6 that you trimmed out goes right on top of that. Your little sunflower piece. This is, I'm looking for my, out of your orange, your darker orange die cut, you had some square rectangles. You had 2 smaller ones and 2 larger ones. These pieces are to go behind the sunflowers. So what I would do is just put a little adhesive here, maybe on the corners. You can use a glue pen right here in the middle of the sunflower. And then these orange pieces get adhered right onto there. They don't have to be straight, you'll never know. Turn it over, and there you have it. And this is the piece that goes right up here. And then on top of these, you just take your little jute ribbon pieces, tie them tight in the middle, and I used a little glue dot behind there to hold each of them on. But you don't have to do this until you get photos in there, because you'll probably be wanting to put little pictures of people's faces here. Once you do that, then these can go right at the top just for a little extra embellishment. but I just usually use a little glue dot behind there, holds those on. Oops, I just proved that I stole Patsy's ATG gun off of her desk. I did not realize, don't tell her. Okay, so we're going to do page 2 as well. Like I said earlier, these two larger rectangles from your die cut, these are going to get adhered onto the back. So you'll want to put some adhesive here in the corners, right in the middle of the sunflower. Just so that the stencil part is covered up. You turn it over, and then this goes about 3/4 of an inch from the top of the page and then centered. And out of your lighter orange die cut, you had, it's about a 4x6, I believe. 4.5 by 6.5. That goes right on the top of here. And actually, I'm going to chop that one up a little bit. I'm going to use some sunset. Another orange that would look really nice with this is, well, Fall Leaves I think is on the suggested inks, but Pumpkin Pie. That is a really beautiful orange that goes well with these fall colors as well. So this one goes on here, centered there. And you had a 4x6, goes there, picture on top of that. And you cut this out of your, not die cut, but your cutting diagram. So this is the 4.5 by 11.25 piece that came out of your cutting diagram. This goes about a 1/2 inch down from the brown sunflower piece up top there and just centered. And your frame on top of that. But remember, if you are putting this on, you only want to maybe put a little adhesive here and here because you want to be able to put photos in later. So maybe just tack it down at the bottom. And one thing you can do to get your photos the right size here is to either slide your picture underneath here, trace it. You can use these, since this came out of the inside of here, lay this onto your photo and trace just outside of this so that you know your picture is big enough to go in behind here. So you can use this piece, lay it onto your photo, and then trace just outside of the brown. Okay, so you have, on each laser, you have a little strip that is a different size. And we are going to go ahead and, oops, I think I lost my brown piece. All of these come out of a laser. Oh my gosh, I accidentally threw it away. So if you are looking for your brown piece, it is a strip off the bottom of your die cut. So check the garbage like I did. I always say don't throw anything away, and then I just went ahead and did that. But your brown piece comes off of the bottom of the laser that this came out of. There's a strip across the bottom. And what we do is just layer these up. I'm going to go right down the middle here. This goes centered. with the darker. And I didn't really trim these up very well, but if you have little notches and stuff from the laser or from the die cut, just go ahead and trim those off so that they look nice and clean. So we have the brown piece, then your light orange piece goes right in the center there. And then last you have your, this one might be easiest to put a little glue pin on the back because it's so skinny. And then this goes right down the left side of your page. And this is one reason I don't glue anything down to begin with, so that I can kind of get the spacing I want. So it looks like I need to move this over a little bit. Get the spacing just right where I want it. And then that gets glued down just to the left side, about a ½ inch from the left side of the paper. And then from there, we are just going to layer the pumpkins. Match them up as we go. And one thing that makes the pumpkins easier to put color on, excuse me. Everybody's just getting over a cold here. It's not fun. I finally got my voice back so that I could do the videos though. Okay, one thing with your pumpkins, you want to just match them up so that you have the right, it just barely shows around the edge. The background piece just barely shows around the edge. But what I would do is get a glue pin, put little dots around here so that it gets glued to here, and then once it is on, I would chalk it up if you want to. It makes it so much easier than trying to chalk the little delicate pumpkins all by themselves. Once you glue this on here, it gives you more of a steady surface. Then you can chalk it up. And some of the stems I actually used a green color at the top. And then we just start layering these according to the picture. We got some of the jute laying on our page. So these you want to do after you get your pictures in so that you're not gluing down to the top of where you want to put a picture. So it looks like this one goes here with a light background. We have a medium-sized pumpkin, and it looks like that's this one here. So again, glue that down, then go back, chalk things up as you need to. It looks like this one, according to the picture, is on the left side. And if you do want to tack these down a little bit, you definitely can. Just make sure that you have space in behind there to get your pictures in. But I would lay these out so that you know where you want them before you actually glue them down. The only other piece that we have before you glue things down is you'll want to adhere this brown piece to the orange, this aqua or mint green piece to the brown. You can chalk those all up individually if you would like, so it gives it a lot more layers in there. Once you get those on, we have little brads that you can poke right through the corners of the brown. There's 3 brads. This corner is going to be covered up, so you just have 1, 2, 3 brads to put in there. And the only other piece, let's see, is chalk your journaling piece up, and then that goes right here. So you can put some dates and some information on there. And that is that. That is a super simple kit, but I love how it's layered with the fall colors and the pumpkins. I hope you enjoyed November's kits, and thank you so much for being a Club Q member. We appreciate it. My family appreciates it, and we will see you next time.